Good morning, White Sox fans. I'm Jim Margulis, and this is your White Sox wake-up call for August 16th, 2023. If the White Sox have made it their single-minded mission to do everything possible to keep the Cubs out of the postseason, they couldn't be accused of subtlety. They came into this two-game set at Wrigley Field on Tuesday night on a three-game losing streak comprising a sweep at the hands of the NL Central leading Milwaukee Brewers, causing the Cubs to lose a game in the standings. The Sox then snapped that skid by beating the Cubs 5-3, with a Luis Robert Jr. homer putting the Sox ahead for good in the seventh. Robert seemed to take specific pleasure in beating the Cubs because after he made contact with Julian Merryweather's hanging slider on the eighth pitch of the at-bat, he spun out of the batter's box and stared into the crowd before beginning his trot. After crossing the plate and celebrating with Eloy Jimenez, he shushed Cubs fans who were flipping him off. That put the Sox ahead 4-3, and an Andrew Benintendi bloop double gave the Sox an insurance run they didn't need thanks to a bullpen that did some really heavy lifting in relief of Touki Toussaint. Pedro Grifol pulled Toussaint after a leadoff walk in the fifth inning. Toussaint walked 5 batters over 4+, and he also gave up a pair of homers. The Sox were lucky to be tied at 3 given that combination, and so Grifol didn't press his luck. In came Tanner Banks, who stranded that runner despite a stolen base. Lane Ramsey pitched a scoreless 6th. Aaron Bummer handled the 7th, and after he retired Cody Bellinger on a scary line drive for the first out of the 8th, he handed the ball to Gregory Santos, who went 5 up, 5 down for the long save. While Toussaint struggled, the White Sox offense gave Kyle Hendricks problems early. They loaded the bases with 1 out in the first, and while they only came away with the Yoan Moncada run-scoring fielder's choice, the quality at bats carried into the second inning. Yasmani Grandal singled, advanced to second on Oscar Colas' swinging bunt, moved to third on Zach Remelard's bunt single, and after Remillard stole second, Elvis Andrus scored them both with a single through the left side that gave the Sox a 3-2 lead. Seiya Suzuki's homer tied it in the fourth, and both pitching staffs steadied afterward. Credit the White Sox for doing pretty much everything well around Toussaint's struggles. The bullpen pitched 5 scoreless innings, the offense went 4 for 9 with runners in scoring position, and 2 for 2 in stolen bases, and the defense came up with some huge plays. Remillard flagged down a pop-up in shallow right field with the sliding catch to keep a leadoff single in the 6th inning glued to first, and Grandal cut down Nico Hoerner's stolen base attempt in the 7th inning in one of the unlikelier plays you'll see just because of sheer probability. Hoerner stole his 30th base earlier in the game, and base runners had been 12 for 12 against Aaron Bummer. Thanks to Grandal's perfect peg, they're now 12 for 13. And in the middle of it is Robert, who came back from his sprained pinky in grand fashion. He went 2 for 5, and even 2 of his outs were loud line drives to left. He's now up to 32 homers on the year, and this one made for terrific photos and video. Now we'll see if the White Sox can win both games at Wrigley and maintain a hold on the Crosstown Cup, which is about all they have left to play for this year. Mike Clevinger will start for the White Sox, and it's unclear who the Cubs will throw because Marcus Stroman was scratched from the start due to right rib discomfort. On the White Sox injury front, Tim Anderson was scratched due to neck stiffness, and he'll be day-to-day. Elvis Andrus played short and led off, and he fared well enough if Grifol wants to do the same thing tonight. First pitch will be at 7:05 p.m. Central on NBC Sports Chicago.
There's no I in team, but there is one in Indeed, and that's the hiring platform that you need to build yours. When you're hiring, you need Indeed. Instead of spending hours on multiple job sites searching for candidates with the right skills, Indeed's a powerful hiring platform that can help you do it all. One of the things I love about Indeed is that it makes hiring all in one place so easy because Indeed does the hard work for you. They show you the candidates whose resumes on Indeed fit your description immediately after you post so you can hire faster. Join more than 3 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast. Start hiring now with a $75 sponsored job credit to upgrade your job post at Indeed.com/Blue Wire Sports. Offer good for a limited time. Claim your $75 credit now at Indeed.com/Blue Wire Sports. That's Indeed.com/Blue Wire Sports, and support the show by saying that you heard it on this podcast. Indeed.com/Blue Wire Sports. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed.
Down on the farm, the White Sox farm system had its best night of the season. The White Sox affiliates ran the table, going 6-0 and outscoring opponents 62-19. From the top, Charlotte beat Nashville 7-4. Lenyn Sosa had 2 hits, and while Corey Lee went 0 for 3, he did draw his first walk with the Knights. Birmingham beat Chattanooga 7-5 in 10 innings thanks to Edgar Caro, who hit his first 2 homers with the Barons, including the walk-off shot. Wilfred Veras doubled up on doubles, and Christian Mena pitched an efficient 7 innings of 3-run ball, only using 81 pitches. Winston-Salem crushed the Greenville Drive 14-4. Jacob Burke went 2 for 6 with a double and a stolen base. Brooks Baldwin went 3 for 4 with his first high A homer and a walk. And Lloyd Olshapelli reached base 3 times, including a triple. Yet the Dash were outdone by the Kannapolis Cannonballers, who ran up the score on the Carolina Mudcats 16-3. Jacob Gonzalez and Calvin Harris each had 2 hits with a walk. Eddie Park had 2 hits and 2 walks. And Jordan Sprinkle topped them all by reaching base 5 times, including his first A-ball homer. The Arizona Complex League White Sox blanked the ACL Brewers 5-0. Downers Grove product George Wolkow hit his first professional homer while going 2 for 3 with 2 walks. And to return to double-digit margins, the Dominican Summer League White Sox routed the DSL Blue Jays 13-3. Abraham Nunez had 3 hits and a stolen base. Around the league, the Cubs can consider themselves thankful. They might have lost the White Sox, but they remain 3.5 games back of the Brewers, who were shut down by Bobby Miller and the Dodgers 6-2. Beyond that, most of their direct wildcard competition lost too. The Phillies fell to the Blue Jays, the Marlins were knocked off by the Astros, and the Reds were shut out by the Guardians. The Cubs and Reds remain just a game back of Miami for the 3rd wildcard spot, although they're even in the loss column. Meanwhile, the American League wildcard race draws tighter. It's not just that the Astros, Blue Jays, Mariners, and Red Sox all won while the Rays lost the Giants, but Tampa Bay is dealing with a double dose of really bad news. Wander Franco has been on the restricted list since Monday as the league investigates allegations of an inappropriate relationship with a minor, and now Shane McClanahan will undergo Tommy John surgery next week, which is expected to keep him out for the rest of 2023 and all of 2024. McClanahan looked like the Cy Young frontrunner during the first couple months of the season, but he suffered a back injury in June and then felt the dreaded forearm tightness earlier this month. The Rays are just 15-22 since the start of July. They trail Baltimore by 3 games in the AL East, and now they're just 2.5 games ahead of Houston for the top wildcard spot. Meanwhile, the Twins rallied against the Tigers to come out on top 5-3, so they were able to negate the impact of Cleveland's win and remain 4.5 games ahead in the AL Central. And if you like rooting against the Yankees as much as you like rooting against the Cubs, you'll be pleased to know that the Yankees fell to .500 after their 4th straight loss as they were one hit by Bryce Elder in a 5-0 loss to Atlanta. That'll do it for this edition of the White Sox Wake Up Call. Visit SoxMachine.com to talk about the game, Luis Robert Jr.'s comments about leadership or the lack thereof, and the outstanding night on the farm. If you are new to the Sox Machine podcast, you can subscribe to us wherever podcasts are found. And if you like what you hear and want to support what we do, you can do so at patreon.com/SoxMachine, where subscribers get an ad-free version of the site and show with bonus content on both. For example, over the last few days, there are 2 Patreon-exclusive posts on SoxMachine.com, a P.O. Sox mailbag, and the most AL Central season series summary for the White Sox and Cleveland Guardians. And if you enjoyed Monday's podcast with Scott Carroll, you get 10 more minutes on the Patreon version, in which Scott answers community questions about doodle hats, his YouTube video, and other house hunters' curiosities. If that has your attention, you can sign up for as little as $2 a month at patreon.com/SoxMachine. Thanks for listening to the Sox Machine podcast. For SoxMachine.com, I'm Jim Margulis.